All right, how do you like that new intro? Well, it's new for me because we just created it tonight. My wife did the artwork, really good artwork. She does all the artwork for everything that we do, most stuff that we engage in, all of the shows, like Extreme Cinema and a lot of the Two David stuff. She was especially helpful during the whole video series that we did. Again, welcome to the show. This is the fourth one. I guess the fourth episode, because I'm taking advantage of this lovely Studio 4, here in beautiful New York City, and I really like it here. It's soundproofed and everything. Now, this is going to be a continuation of something that I talked about before, because it just wound up becoming a new topic, and it's something I guess centers around yours truly, and it has to do with something that I mentioned. I mentioned a little anecdote when we were talking about the Facebook unfriending and blocking in that episode. And I mentioned a story about a homeless veteran who gave his last $20 to an attractive woman whose car had ran out of gas. She's, I guess, going up the road with a can of gas or something like that. I have been steadfast in my stubborn belief, if you will, that it's one of two scenarios. The first scenario being that this is a fabrication, that it's something concocted by the media. These stories usually come around holiday times, and as we know, we just passed Thanksgiving. And they want people to feel good or something, or they want them to feel bad for not being as charitable or donating of their time or money or support to those in need. So they whip up these stories, and you see a lot of them. I mean, it's like, orphanage catches on fire, and single, homeless, HIV positive lesbian rushes in and saves everybody. Feel bad about that, because you would never do that, you scumbag, you piece of crap. All you're doing is jerking off on the computer all night and day, looking at your Facebook and your YouTube and your RedTube and your YouPorn and God knows what else. It's that was the first scenario. The second one is simpler than that. It's Ryan O'Neal and Tatum O'Neal in Paper Moon, going from town to town and scamming money out of, I guess people who they would like to take advantage of, the idiots of the world, if you will, or something along those lines. I remember saying this. This was one of the points I was making in my skepticism, because everyone wants to believe this story. And I can understand that. I know that people want to believe. They want to believe that, people are basically good. It's like everything Bambi's mom ever said to Bambi. So the scenario, people kept buying it, and the money kept going up. I think it's now over $300,000 for this one guy. And I've never seen $300,000 in my life. I know people who are wealthy who have never seen $300,000 in their life. Now questions are starting to come up. The questions are, I want to say, mainly about taxes. Like, they're saying, well, how much is he going to have to pay in taxes or something? Is the IRS going to do a big hit job on him? Is there a limit to a cash gift? There is. $10,000 from what I understand, basically. $10,000. Anything after that is taxable. And this can include donations as well. Charities have to pay enormous taxes. A lot of that money goes to their own personal coffers, and you find that CEOs of charities are earning $600,000 a year. They got a company Mercedes, company house with a pool, and lavish expense accounts, things like that. That's why you get into the charity racket. It's not to help people; it's to kind of make money. It's really all it's about. Somebody had made a very, very good point a while ago, and I wish I knew who this person was, because it was brilliant. The person said, charities should exist to put themselves out of business, or something along those lines. Charities should exist to remove their existence. We should not have charity. We should be living, I guess, in a perfect world of rainbows and unicorns and mermaids and all that stuff, and everyone's happy, everyone's prosperous, then we wouldn't have any problems. And that's the God's damned honest truth. But unfortunately, there are people out there that are predators. And I kept having this dialogue back and forth with this very, very I want to say bitter person or something who had posted this, and it was part of the news feed. When you click on a news item, you can see all related posts to it. You know, because I guess that might be part of Facebook's algorithms, is that if enough people are talking about something, it becomes a news item, perhaps. And there's also the fact that if you have like a nice big check for Zuckerberg, he'll just put your item up there like it's news. But we were going back and forth about this. This person who I will not name because I really don't want to embarrass anybody, because we don't really know what the story is. We know it's a man. I just I outed him as a man, or maybe perhaps he identifies as a man. If he identifies as a woman or anything else, a Filipino, my apologies. But I'm going to assume this person is a man with a pee-pee. He was, I was like, this whole thing smells like a scam. And I did mention that I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was talking to my friend David Anderson, and I was like, take a look at this story. I showed him the story. I didn't tell him anything. I showed him one of the first stories that was coming out, and he reads it, and he comes back right away and says, "Sounds like PRBS," and that's exactly. Maybe it's that, and I was accused of living in a different dimension or a different universe or something. It's a story. It's a tale of two universes, a tale of two dimensions. One where we don't believe the story, and one where we do. One where we don't believe that Bill Clinton is a rapist, and one where we do. Things like that. One where we refuse to believe that our world is based on a petroleum-based economy, and those who don't want to believe that. But that is actually true, by the way. Oil makes the world go round. Everything you have is based on oil. I'd love to see people try to, get on without oil. So I mean, it gets bizarre because he starts calling me names. He starts accusing. It's so weird. He calls me a troll. Of course, I mean, I've been called a troll before. I don't really get the troll thing. I can understand that I might have a contrarian attitude to what a lot of people believe. I'm one of these people that doesn't believe anything. There are certain facts. There are certain inscrutable scientific principles that I'll believe in. I believe in gravity. Yeah, I believe that the Earth is round. It's a spheroid. It's a spherical object. It's not a flat thing. I mean, I don't get. I should really reserve that for another topic, for another episode later on. We can talk about flat earthers or whatever. I believe that the sky is blue in many shades of azure, and sometimes purple, and sometimes gray, and sometimes red. Fiery sky when it snows. That's one of my favorite things. First snow of the year, and the sky turns this bright orange red as the snow falls, and it becomes so quiet because the snow has an insulating component to it, and it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. That first snow is like one of my favorite things ever. My daughter loves it too. Speaking of my daughter, I was called a bad father. You must be a terrible father to your child. And I was telling this to Bronwyn. Bronwyn's like, how the hell does he know we have a child? And my daughter Regan says, oh, he probably looked at Daddy's profile page, and my profile is right there. My daughter is there. My cats, whatever. Which is why people will take my pictures of me and my beloved Siren and do terrible, terrible things to them, doctor them, and put photoshopped body parts on them. I don't want to talk about that right now. God, that makes me angry. So he starts on, you're a troll, Facebook troll, bad parent. I'm trying, it's like, well, I have the last two excerpts because what happened was, I guess the argument became so intense that he just didn't want to talk to me anymore. So I was talking to Anderson, and I was like, I'm going to do something prankish. I mean, I know people who did pranks, and they were like thoughtful pranks, things that you had to think about a little bit. One of my favorite things, there was this old website. I don't know if it's around anymore. There was this webpage where this guy engaged in some seriously funny pranks, but they were kind of pranks you had to think about. Like, for instance, an example. There's a McDonald's drive-thru, and the drive-thru advertised all the things that McDonald's sells in addition to apple pies. Of course, we know McDonald's has their apple pies. They're heated. They're in the little box. A lot of people love those pies. I'm not really big on the apple pies, but I know people who have a love affair with those McDonald's pies. They come out, they're hot and steamy and everything, and everybody loves them. This guy takes a very nice, high-quality photo of Jason Biggs and puts it, just slyly inserts the picture as a half image so that you see the pie, but then you see Jason Biggs with this smile on his face. And Jason Biggs is the character from the movie American Pie who tries to have sex with a warm apple pie. And people, he monitored he monitored for reactions. He wanted to see what this was all about. And he noticed that some people were smiling when they saw it, or they were giggling, but it was so well made, the prank, that you would assume that McDonald's put that there. He just sort of slipped it in under this plastic inlay card or whatever, and managed to make it look as though it was part of that, completely natural, no reason to, and it had been up, he said, in his blog space, that it had been up there for several months before anyone thought to take it down or something like that. So I came up with this idea based on that, just to put the picture that I mentioned in the episode where we talked about this a little bit, a picture of Eddie Murphy. Because this story takes place in Philadelphia, or near Philadelphia. It's a place called Bordentown, I think, in New Jersey. It's a few miles up. It's near like Allentown and Bethlehem, basically, but those are on the outskirts of Philadelphia as it is. It's a town in New Jersey. And so I what I did was I went to like 19 different Facebook news feeds of this, and of this news item, and how it was transpiring and unfolding before our very eyes. So I was saying to Anderson, you know what? I'm going to take that picture, and I'm going to put that there, and nothing else, just the picture of Eddie Murphy on his scooter, pretending to be a blind homeless veteran with no legs, And so I did. I started putting the picture, which is like, thanks, Merry Christmas from a grateful veteran or something like that, and the thing about the gag is, I guess maybe people don't get it or something. It's a movie from 1983, but it's very popular. It's a very popular film. And he plays a con artist, and he's basically pretending to be a homeless, blind, paraplegic war vet on a little scooter with wheels, running around and, wheeling around on the streets of Philadelphia. Again, great movie. Please. It's such a thoughtful, wonderful comedy. You got to see it. It's very few and far between that you have literate comedies out there. I wrote a review for it in a vintage cable box. So I put that picture in 19, and I figured 19 Facebook news posts about this is enough. I don't think people got it. I didn't get anything, really. I did respond to this person, the person I was involved in this personal conflict, apparently, by putting that picture there. And he blocked me and he either removed me or removed the news piece. He probably removed me. He probably just blocked me from, that. So, but before that had actually occurred, he accused me of being a bad father, of course. This I don't understand. Parenting is actually it's pretty damned important to me. 10 years, going on 11, not one broken bone. My daughter loves me. I love my daughter. She loves her mother. She runs to the door when Bronwyn gets home from work and gives her a big hug. I've never known many children to actually do that. Most people, myself included. So, you can debate me on my claim. You can debate me on my skepticism. Why do you feel this way, Dave? Instead, he starts attacking me and kind of hitting below the belt. You shouldn't hit below the belt when you're doing that. You should have a reasonable, thoughtful discussion. Gee, Dave, why do you feel that way? Well, gee, sir, why do you feel the way you do? I mean, neither of us are right. We're only guessing. We're only hoping. That's how I see a discussion. We're only hoping. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if this is true. We don't know if it's not true. But this gentleman, said some really nasty things. Now, I wrote, and these are the last two responses because these are the only ones I saved, or I felt were worthy of being saved, and then I showed them to David Anderson. I wrote, my daughter helped me identify the picture as a possible green screen. Oh, what that means basically, there's a picture at the top of the article with this quote-unquote homeless man and this quote-unquote Good Samaritan or passenger or whatever who had no money and no gas. So many weird facets of this story. So many facets of this story do not add up. How does she have no money? She's on the road. She needs gas. What is she going to do? Is she going to barter for the gas? Is she going to do things that she is going to be ashamed of later to get a gallon of gas at least to get back wherever she's going? Anyway. It looked like a green screen. It looked like they were standing in front of something. So I wrote, my daughter helped me identify the picture as a possible green screen. She's 10. Every day I try to instill in her the concept of altruism, helping her fellow man, peace, understanding, and patience. I also try to warn her of the predators she'll no doubt be facing as she grows to adulthood. Who are you? He got under my skin, this one. Who are you to judge my parenting skills based on my skepticism of this narrative? I still don't believe this story, and I never will. If it isn't a tired piece of media rolled out every holiday season, it's a scam being perpetrated by a couple of con artists. And this guy came back to me. He came back to me, and he says this. Because unlike you, I researched the article to be true. You looked at a photograph with a child and dismissed a human being based on factless assumptions. Now go away, you troll, and research before you steal the light from what I meant to be an uplifting testament of the human spirit. But you wasted your Thanksgiving attempting to do otherwise. You're a bum and a knee-jerk reaction Facebook troll, and I don't abide trolls. Now get off my post, troll, and go bother more people on your level. And I'm like, wow, did I touch a nerve? I don't understand. Why is he so personally affected by this? Why does he need to be affected by this? Why is this? It's like we can't, it's like people. I'm going to say people because I certainly can. I can deal with people I disagree with. I do. Sometimes they irritate me because it feels like I have disagreements with people. And perhaps they're just as stubborn as I am because we're both convinced. We're both convinced that we're right. Right. And, we're both correct in whatever assessment we have. And that's fine. I mean, if you want to believe that, that's great. But I had said, if you believe this is true, then donate your money. Donate your money and see where it goes. Now, if you say something like, oh, Dave, he's got more than enough. Well, how do you know he has more than enough? Maybe he's got cancer in both arms and legs and a little bit of his brain, and it's going to cost $300,000 just to break even with the rest of his life. You don't know. All I know is I've never seen $300,000 in my life, and apparently all I'd have to do is dress up as a homeless vet. And the thing is, this guy looks so clean too. I mean, it's like I don't think, based on I guess the timeline of the incidents that occur, he doesn't look like he had time to bathe. Homeless people have a scent about them. It's basically a combination of sour milk, feces, urine, both cat and human urine, and motor oil. That's what they tend to smell like. Their clothes have a permeated sense of body odor that you would have to go through 3-4 washes to get even a little bit of that scent out. There are certain things about homeless people. And like I said, I was homeless too. I mean, I tried my best to stay clean. I know, God knows I tried to do that. So, what are we left with? We're left with a lot of a lot of disagreement. And but thankfully, people are starting to ask some questions. They're starting to say, well, some of these things don't add up, but some of it doesn't make any sense. And taxes, and also how are they collecting this money? And I said to Anderson, I believe, that the two of them are going to meet behind the bowling alley in 2 weeks and split up the money, because that's basically, it just has that feel to it. It really does have that feel. Like, Bart Simpson and Homer coming together to become con artists, and Bart gets money out of like a minister, or he gets money out of Ned Flanders. Actually, he says, well, no, he's about to get money out of Ned Flanders, something about a cake, and he doesn't have the money to pay for the cake or something like that, or transfer fees, things like that, little bits where you can just get people will scrape you for pennies, especially in a poor economy. They will scrape you. They will take your last dollar. They'll figure things out. I mean, I was a victim of a kind of a con game one time, a long time ago. It was gambling, though, but it was some kind of a weird gambling thing, a rolling dice game, and I lost. I wound up losing $100. Didn't like it. But Flanders says, wait a minute, this is very similar to that movie Paper Moon. And then suddenly Homer and Bart are like, Jesus, let's get out of here. So it was hilarious. You really have to be careful. You have to be careful about anything. You can't just believe things. That's especially with the way information is handled, managed, and mismanaged. So it's very hard to actually get the truth. It's very hard to get the truth. On that note, I will say adieu, but first we have to hear the outro music, if we may. Have a good night, everybody. This has been the David Lawler Podcast.